3 weeks ago, they had only mentioned it. One little attack on a little old lady wasn't worth even 10 seconds on the national news. The only reason it even made it was the odd cannibalistic aspect of the attack. It wasn't just one attack though. By the week's end, it was 19. By the next day, it was 34. Each day was like this. The numbers grew exponentially. Then, they stopped. No reports on any deaths, only specialists trying to brush away any worries the public had. They used large words and spoke confidently, and most people believed them. The numbers had to have been climbing, but no one seemed to worry. The everyday news, nearly every talk show, ended with a few minutes of a PhD talking about this or that. Mass hysteria, they said. Satanic cults, they said. Even I fell into a catatonic state from the false security. Everything was fine. If it weren't, wouldn't the government be doing something? It wasn't until I saw one at school that I found out how big a problem it had become. Its skin, tinted sickly green, like a seafoam green Crayola marker, was missing chunks or strips. I could see muscle. Congealed, almost jelly-like blood ran a thick trail down its arm, and the dried variant splattered its tattered shirt. It was out in the yard, moving at a slow, shambling rate. Several of my classmates had recoiled, others making interested comments, and a select handful of brave students even raced to the window. Something primal in the back of my mind clicked on. Maybe it was fear, I couldn't tell you. All I knew was that it said run, and I wasn't about to disagree with it. I was halfway down the main hallway before Miss Falloon could even begin to yell at me to come back. She had enough on her plate with the kids who were now opening the windows and calling to that mess of gore and pus. The sun was bright and pleasant when I burst through the door and out into the parking lot. Finally, I was trying to think and realize how stupid I was for doing this. I ran simply because a vague, strange hunch told me. I waited there, panting lightly. I'd catch my breath and head back in. I was in for a detention anyway. Might as well soak up a little sun. That was before a scream rang out, several more following it. I waited, paralyzed, for what seemed like eternity. The fire alarm screeched its warning, and I could hear the dull roar of 474 pairs of feet clamoring to get out, just as they were taught. Before the sea of people flooded the halls, I saw one of my classmates. Bright red splashes covered their clothes. A few more shambled clumsily to join the first. The fear began again, this time renewed, pure, and urging. I bolted. I didn't live too far from the school, but the further I went, the more of those things I found. They were slow, thankfully, and stupid. Avoiding them didn't prove too difficult. The sights they brought, that's another story. Blood everywhere, bits of flesh and clothes, people screaming silently with huge gaping holes in their throats. They looked at me with pleading eyes as those things feasted on them. Quietly, I whispered a prayer for them. God help them. I rounded a corner, my feet hitting the sidewalk hard. My legs ached and my lungs held the start of pain. I stopped only a moment, but even that was too short. It already caught my eye. One of those things, That was a monster, really. It had my mother in its arms. She watched me with wide eyes. They were scared, like a deer's. She tried to cry out to me. I lunged forward and clawed at the thing, pulled and tore at it like a wild animal. I don't even remember when it sunk its teeth into me, but I know it did. The pain was white hot and spread like fire up my arms and through my body. I collapsed. The creature bit more at me, teeth ripping away at my side, my legs. The fire rippled with each bite. My eyes screwed shut, and I was screaming, but I can't remember hearing anything but the blood thumping in my ears. The bites became more infrequent, and the hand with the first bite turned cold and numb. My mother, bloody and crying, dragged herself close to me and touched her hand to my face. I couldn't feel it. The cold had spread. Soft, gurgling noises, like listening to a drowning person, faded from my ears. Everything went icy and dark. It's a wonder how much you retain once you become one of those monsters. You wouldn't believe it. And you relive it every second of every day. It's a long, long road from humanity. I should know. My belly's filled with it.